Hello, welcome everybody. This is Val Yerman. I'm one of the career and technical specialists here, and I am helping to run the career panel today. Our esteemed panel is working with Automotive Services and Technology. It's our Career Pathways panel for today. I am excited to be able to introduce our panelists. First couple, we will have each of them going on in detail a little bit further. But we will start with Brittanye Muscamp, who in a few minutes will be talking to you about the academic program we have here at Santa Barbara City College. She has been here at City College at least 3 or 4 years now. She was the first time I met her, she had her head engrossed in an engine. I was very excited to see her teaching here, and she looked like one of the students actually. Brittanye has been in the automotive business for most of her life. She said that she's actually working with the Muscamp Auto Repair in Ventura, family-run business, so she can talk to you about how that works. She's also worked with dealerships in Ventura County. She went through Ventura College with an associate degree in auto technology, and then moved on to get her bachelor's at Weber State University in auto technology. She has worked in many different facets over the years, and I asked her if she's a jack of all trades, and she said absolutely, but it's really operations personnel that she's working with now. So I'm excited that she's joining us as one of our panelists, as well as going to share the academic program in a few minutes. We're also excited to see, let's see, we got David, excuse me. I'm excited that Stephen is with us today, and if Stephen could wave, that would be great. So Stephen is proudly serves with PetroSpecs sales consultant in San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. And he's had over 15 years of experience working in sales. He's dedicated his life to taking care of customers and helping them grow their own businesses. He's been with BG since 2010, and I did look it up on the website. And the BG company he's going to describe a little bit more is our products, equipment to dealerships, independent shops, franchises, so they can perform BG maintenance services on consumer vehicles at the top-notch quality. Okay, our next panelist is going to be, that will be talking with us, is actually a Santa Barbara City College graduate. Jack Dukey, and he's driving and working for the company that I want my next vehicle to be. I drive a Prius right now, which is awesome. However, he's working with Mercedes-Benz. He went through City College's program, and then he, excuse me, he took a 2-year program at a 2-year, 4-month program at Mercedes-Benz school. Jack will be sharing with his experience as a mechanic there. And then finally, we'll be talking with Nikki Ayers. Now, Nikki had a whole article about Nikki, and Nikki developed her own business. You guys might know this all. Ayers Automotive Repair started from scratch way back in the late 1970s, I believe it was 1980. It was growing out of a gas station, the Shell gas station downtown. They grew into a successful business, and just a couple years before the pandemic, they started a second location. And due to their business savvy, they are still going strong, which is awesome. Excellent. Typically, I understand Nikki handles the business side and Robert manages the shop. And her husband, I guess, started with Jaguar, which would be my other car. That would have been nice. If he's not there, she is doing it all. I'm also excited because she's a woman in business, as is Brittanye. And in 2018, she became the first female president-elect of the California Auto Business Coalition. So we will have some questions in a minute. regarding both women in the business and how things have changed. I'm going to hold off just a second. I'm going to stop the recording for just a moment. Okay, so now that we got started and you all know who it is that's going to be joining us today, I'm going to move to our esteemed panel. And I'm going to kind of go round robin. I'm going to start with Brittanye to please describe a little bit for us what we have going here for students at Santa Barbara City College.
So Santa Barbara City College is awesome, and Santa Barbara in general. At the City College, there are 2 different labs for the automotive department. And within the last 2 years, both of the labs have been fully renovated. So there's brand new tools, there's brand new equipment all over, and constantly year after year, the program is still improving with purchasing more equipment and making sure that we can successfully show students automotive, because there is a large shortage of automotive technicians. So it's super important. And it's an industry that there's going to be a lot of jobs opening up. So everything is pretty much brand new when you walk in. There are more than enough cars, more than enough tools. You pretty much come in and everything else is provided. The classes are awesome. There's 8 classes that complete the degree, and the curriculum is constantly being updated to show the latest and greatest. We actually work with our pretty much panel of automotive companies. So both Nikki and Steven are one of our advisory committee members who we work with very closely to make sure that we're teaching you everything that you need to know going into the industry. It's a great place. We have views of the actual beach and the ocean. So it's unlike any other community college that you will go to, especially for automotive. We're right there.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and move around a little bit. I'm going to ask if we could have Jack, who went through the program, if you could talk a little bit about where you're at today, how you got there, a little bit of a synopsis of what you've done, and a little bit about your experience at City College, if you can remember that part. Thank you.
So I graduated City College May of 2019 at the top of the class. I then applied to Tesla and Mercedes-Benz to go to their school. I was accepted into Mercedes-Benz school and Tesla school, but I had already accepted into Mercedes-Benz. So I went there for 4 months, and I've been working at Santa Barbara Auto Group for the past 2 years. I'm now the only electric car technician qualified to work on the new electric car coming up.
Oh, wow, that is exciting. Was there anything in Santa Barbara City College that helped gear you toward that in particular?
I learned everything that I needed to know at the college.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's a little bit of a little further description for yourself. Stephen, could you tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of background, a little bit more?
Yeah, so I've never worked as an actual technician in a shop, but I rebuilt a '85 Chevy engine when I was in high school, and have always worked on all my own stuff. After college, I got an associate's degree. I went to, I actually worked for Anheuser-Busch for 11 years in sales and marketing. 08 happened, and I made a shift and came to automotive professionally. Loved cars, knew all about them, but just had never worked in a shop before. And so I started with BG, and I learned a lot. And now I train technicians and service advisors and work with owners of businesses to help them grow their business in the preventative maintenance market.
Okay. Thank you. And Nikki, could you help with a little description about what you're doing?
Well, I've been in the industry probably almost my entire life. I do have a associate's degree from a community college in New York. I also have a bachelor's degree. in business management and human resources. I have a master's degree also, and I've spent a couple years in law school. And so this business requires a lot of education above and beyond what you learn in the shop. And what I do want to say is that if you do come into the industry, it's not you come in and as you are, it's a ever expanding educational process. And at our shop, we required our employees to have 40 hours of extended education every year. And at our shop, we paid for their continuing education. So I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Oh, that's excellent. And the idea of being able to have growth is something I think everybody is looking for. And sometimes you start out and you start morphing along the way with what area you want to specialize in and how you want to grow in that position. A real shout out to Ayers and all that you're doing for your employees. And I understand you also, if you might comment a little bit on this, you've also done a lot of give back to the area of internships and support.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in with Partners in Education, and actually even before Partners in Education, I've tried to have students come into the classroom as often as we can. We had one student that we actually hired who's recently left now to become a police officer, which is what he's always wanted to do, but he started when he was 15 and left when he was 25. So, you know, I feel pretty proud about that. Partners in Education has been huge in our company. We've had, gosh, I can't count how many students we've had through our shop. We actually had the EF Institute come through so that students from overseas can see what happens. I participated in as much as we can to encourage high school kids to want to go to City College and do that kind of thing. So education is what it's all about. Doesn't matter where you're at.
Excellent, thank you. So as far as growth in your industries, how do you see your growth happening for employees? I guess, Nikki, we'll stay with you and then we'll move around. Is there room right now for people hiring out? What are you looking for?
Oh, there's a ton of growth right now. All shops need good, well-trained employees. And even new employees, even students that are coming out of community college have a place in the industry. They're going to have a learning curve because they don't learn everything that they need to know coming out of community college, because there's a huge learning growth when they come into a shop. But there's so many jobs out there right now because the industry is just changing almost monthly. And I think that Jack would agree with that. I think Steve would agree with that. There's just so much change going on that it's almost hard for anybody to keep up with. The tooling is changing, the manufacturers are changing quickly. There's so many new rules, regulations, laws. It's an exciting and career investing place to be. And I think it would be fun for people to go.
So Stephen, can you talk a little bit about the industry and how it's changing or what opportunities you see happening for people?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity in automotive. I mean, I don't think there's an industry out there that doesn't have a shortage, but we had a shortage before everyone had a shortage. And I think I service every dealership in town except for one, a lot of independents, and I don't go a day where someone's not asking for a good technician. My hope is that we can get schools back running again and get that hands-on training going for the automotive industry and hopefully create more excitement in it, because everyone is paying people really good money if they have the knowledge to come out and be a good automotive tech.
Did I hear that properly? That they're paying people really good money?
Really good money.
And there are jobs out there. I just wanted to verify that. Okay.
Yes, I've got techs making way more than I ever thought I could make. So
okay. Can you verify that from your end, Brittany? Are you seeing jobs happening for your family and enough work to keep you busy when you're working with your business?
Yeah, normally we have slow times, where you just at an independent shop, sometimes you have a little bit of downtime just with things and how they go. But there's been no downtime, we're small family shops. So it's, just myself, my parents and brother. So sometimes now we're just even there on the weekends because you have to get the work done. There's not another option. So there is a high opportunity. A lot of people are investing more into their cars and keeping them a lot longer. So repairs honestly they've picked up a lot. So there's definitely opportunity.
Not to mention most of the repairs right now are cheaper than to replace the car.
Yes.
If you could find one to replace it. So that dynamic has changed also. More repair than probably ever before.
How about Jack, speaking from the hands-on mechanic side with the electric and everything else? How's business for you and how do you see it growing for your organization, for Mercedes at least? And
Well, technology is changing every day. Right now we're moving into electric. So everybody's got to go for new training. Right now they're giving us a bonus for somebody that's coming in certified. So higher on bonus. And yeah, every day is something new to learn.
Okay. And when you are working on your business and doing the mechanic work, are you interacting at all with the clients or are you mostly just working with the vehicles?
We mostly work with the vehicles unless the customer has a complaint. We go out with the customer on test drive or something like that.
Okay. Thank you. So while I have you, Jack, could you describe a typical day, which for some people would be very positive that they don't have to deal with the clients and the people out front. So I was just jumping there a little bit. Could you go ahead and share what a typical day looks like for you and perhaps if COVID is affecting your job as well?
A typical day for me is I show up at work at 7:30, log into all my databases. If I have something left over from the day before, I try to get that done before I get another car to work on. COVID affected us a little bit for a couple of months. We had reduced our work, so that in turn reduced our hours at work. But everything picked up now, almost back to normal.
Okay, great. Good to hear that.
Yep.
It's also really nice to see everybody without a mask, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, we go forward. That says, Stephen, could you describe a typical day and what it looks like if they are typical?
Yeah, so every day is very different for me. I'm in dealerships or independent garages, but I go to a dealership and I usually inventory their stock, meet with a service manager, check in with my service writers, check in with my technicians, make sure all the equipment's working, seeing if there's anything they need as far as support goes. And then I stock the shelves and parts and then move on to the next one and do it all over again. So sometimes I set up training. Like last night, I was at Independent doing training with their service writers and technicians on preventative maintenance and when and why to recommend and industry changes and talking a lot about gasoline direct injection, which is a new process of how cars run and good and bad and ugly with that.
Do you need to continue to learn in this field or things change
Every day
for you? So
every day. And this is a very fast moving industry. You always are constantly learning new things. There's new fuel systems and new ways and new performances. And then, legislatively, they put in new constraints on cars and miles per gallons and things like that. And we have to be able to adjust for all of that.
okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask Nikki. You got to wear a couple hats, maybe. But what is it that a typical day would look like for you in running a family business, running a business? troubleshooting?
So I will qualify it with the business owner doesn't work a normal typical day ever. My technicians work 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, with an hour off from lunch from 12 to 1. I, however, and my husband, however, go in quite early in the morning and typically stay pretty late at night and usually work a few hours on the weekends. But in that amount of time, we do a lot of planning work and things like that. We, of course, had to change for COVID. We did, I think we started the trend in Santa Barbara as far as auto repair as touchless service with pickup and delivery and sanitizing cars and things like that, because we already had in place our concierge service and a few other things. So our business is very customer oriented in a probably a little bit different way than typical independent shops. And we're also more dedicated to older clientele. So, you know, it was more of our method in which to make sure we stayed stable during COVID. And that's what we did. And it just kept us at an pretty even level. I never laid anybody off or had really a slow time during COVID.
Wonderful. Could you describe a little bit too for us when you're hiring your technicians and sales, but particularly the technicians, what you're looking for is the minimum amount of experience or education?
Well, the first thing I'll talk to them about, we have a process in which we go through for a hiring process for a technician. The first process is that they talk to me and I get a feel for whether they have a good attitude, whether they'll come to work on time, those types of things. I want to find out what their educational background is, and that kind of stuff. And if it's especially a new person into the industry, I want to know, do you really have a desire and a drive to want to be in this? Because it's not an inexpensive investment for our business to hire a new person in. And I'm very willing to take someone on who is new into the industry. The next step is that they will take a written test and a hands-on test so I can evaluate where they're at in their field. And it depends on where they're at, how do they know how to put a car in a rack? Do they know how to do some basic courtesy checks and that kind of stuff? And it's not timed, it's based on knowledge. And so I'm not looking for speed, I'm looking for knowledge. After that, then we have meet with either the shop foreman or we'll have them have lunch with the team, and the team will ask them questions and get a feel for their desire. And finally, after that, it is a long drawn out process, but it doesn't take that long really. And then they'll come back and talk to me and we'll decide, are you really interested after you've gone through this process? How do you feel about the team? How do you feel, will you fit in? And that will be with both I and the shop foreman usually, and we'll determine at that point whether we'll offer them a job or not.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. And now I want to test the water, Jack. I want to hear, you were the most recent person hitting the employer line. Going out there as a potential employee. So could you talk about the experience of working, getting your interview and how it went, and leaving City College, you know, what it was like hitting the pavement to get a real job?
Right. So right after City College, I applied to the Mercedes-Benz school, and I did several interviews just to get into that school. And then they didn't guarantee that I was going to get a job at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. I had to apply to 5 dealerships. I got an interview in the one in Oxnard. That went pretty well. The guy was ready to hire us on. Santa Barbara Auto Group, I had an interview there, and then I didn't hear from them for a little while. So that was a little frustrating, but he called me back. And he told me to come in for the second interview. And from there, it was pretty straightforward. It took me about 2 weeks to get hired on. I had to go through a drug test and stuff like that. I had to do written tests. And then I started like 2 weeks later.
And did you have training on the job? Did you feel like you were supported when you first started working?
Yes, they make you an apprentice to a certified technician. And I was apprentice for 6 months before I went on my own. And from there, it's been all uphill from this.
Okay. Okay, and I'm going to switch over here to Stephen. I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about the character traits that you think are important for the work that you are doing, and I'm assuming customer service as well as product knowledge. Oh, you need to put your sound on, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, the question one more time.
I was looking
Sorry.
for the character traits and what
Okay.
people are looking at, both for yourself as well as for other people that you would be
Right.
hiring or your company would be hiring. What do you need for the job you're doing?
Nikki touched on it. It's that you show up on time and you're personable. I've been in customer service for over 20 years of my life, and the customers are priority. And that's the biggest part, is without the customers, none of us have jobs. So that's probably one of the biggest things I look for is just somebody that's excited and wants to work and wants to continually learn, because this isn't, you get a 4-year degree and work that for the rest of your life. So those would be my main things.
And Brittany, could you bring it home with a home business and growing business, what you're looking for in your employees there, and when you've worked at the other locations you've been, what they're looking for? What are the traits, the character traits, the soft skills, as well as the hard skills and education for the jobs?
Yeah, I definitely, Nikki and Stephen definitely have it right. Customer service is everything, whether you're at a dealership or even like a small independent shop. At our own family business, we don't do any type of advertising. It is purely word of mouth, and it's based off of the customers that we've serviced before. Because if you provide good customer service and you treat customers with respect, and you're there, honestly, they will take care of you. So customer service is definitely a big thing. You need to have the right kind of mindset, be happy going to work, be happy that you have a job, be happy that the phone's ringing and that there's someone calling in. It's important to show up early. It's important to be engaged. I would definitely say, one thing that I've seen even working like out in dealerships is that, the work you put in is what you get out. So if you're a hard worker and you want to do good, there will be opportunities for you. Sometimes maybe not as fast as we might think, but there's a lot of opportunities. You just need to have the right mindset and be willing to do the training and do the work. Be willing to show up early, be willing to give it 110% effort, and you will find a lot of success. It's easy to move up in automotive. You have to be willing to do it.
Well, thank you. I have to smile because she said twice, you have to show up early. I think Stephen, it's like the work ethic is coming across. Be there on time, and on time means 10 minutes early, and be ready to put in your full day's work, but do it with a sense of joy. So, and I work with students all the time as a career counselor, and trying to find people's fit. And for some people, it's doing that real hands-on work. I want to get under the hood and be doing all the physical work. And other times, it's also working around the automotive area in this case, and being able to apply my business and customer service skills and my abilities, and even in the business end, like Nikki took off and used her business degrees. I want to be around this, and I'm going to give it 110%. So it's a wonderful way of matching up a passion and interest area as well as other skills that you might bring. Now, I don't want to leave Brittany right now, because it's time we address women in the workforce, in the industry. And I'm excited that you're one of our professors here at City College, and you're showing other women what you can do. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about that journey, and I want to hear a little bit from Nikki, and then Jack and Stephen, what it's like now in a changing sense. So let's address a little bit women in the workforce. How has that changed?
So growing up, like, I was around the family business, and I have to say I was lucky to have, parents, especially my own dad, who kind of made the automotive not just about, oh, this is, a guy's job. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and all three of us were actively engaged, even when the business opened and we were very small, learning about cars. And my dad actually didn't have a certification smog license. So he actually hired one of his coworkers, and his coworker was a female. So she would come after her first job, and she would do the smog checks while my dad was going to get his license certification. So it seemed like completely normal. My mom and my mom and her late at the shop, we'd be there, all of us kids, and, both of the females there until like 12, 1 o'clock at night. So it was normal. It just didn't seem anything abnormal. We started doing me and my siblings started doing shop classes at Ventura College. And it was actually one of my good shop teachers there at Ventura College who said, his exact words were, I know your dad will hate me, but there is a job at a local dealership, and they're looking for specifically females. And I think it's a great opportunity. And so I branched off, and I went to go get a job outside of the family business. I'd be there on the weekends then at that point, but I got a job, and honestly, like, I was at the family shop, and I was purely like automotive technician. I didn't like working with customers. I like just the working on the cars portion of it. When a customer would come, I wasn't really a big talker. And I got hired as a service advisor, which is doing nothing but talking with customers and doing customer service. So even if you don't have, those skills, you can definitely develop them. So I worked as a service advisor, and honestly, being a female in the automotive, it's a lot of fun. You have your moments where sometimes it's a little bit harder because, some people don't think that you possibly know what you're talking about, but through work and, just putting a good positive attitude, normally those customers actually end up becoming very good customers in the long run. I would say that most people, it's not something mainstream where you have a lot of females in the automotive, but if you kind of know what you're doing and you have that automotive background knowledge, there's more opportunities for females because there are so few of them. So it's
diversity,
yeah.
Diversity in this case.
Yeah.
Nikki, how about for you? You've come through a number of years here. How was it back when you started, and how have you seen it changed, and how do you feel it is today for women in the workforce?
Well, actually, when I started, it really was only women came in with their husbands or with their dads, and that's kind of the way it was. And as things moved on into the mid 80s and the late 80s and early 90s, you started to see women become technicians. But as we've all moved on through the last 20 years or so, we've seen more and more women come into more management positions in the industry. More and more women are technicians. I think it's quite interesting that more and more women have taken ASE tests and have become certified. I mean, I'm certified. I'm sure Brittany is. They've really, as I've said, there's an old saying that we need a place at the table instead of behind the table and kind of telling people what to put on the menu. We now need to be the ones not just setting the table, but putting what's on the menu. And, you know, I've always been a leader within whatever I've done. And today I still sit on the Bureau of Automotive Repairs Advisory Committee. And I was the first woman who was on the Automotive Technicians Network and things like that. And I think it's really important that women break every boundary that they can, take every initiative that they can to be the first. And even if it's scary, take your first step, be the first one. But while you're doing that, listen with empathy, but also push and make sure that you get what you can get out of it, and then move forward and do what you need to do to make your career the best one it can be. So.
Thank you. That's very encouraging. And so when we are able to share this further, it'll be very nice to be able to share these encouraging words. But still, I'm guessing it's mostly a male-dominated industry still. And the reality now, maybe Stephen, how many women are you seeing working in the type of work that you're doing?
It's very few. It is getting better. Historically, the workforce has been male dominated, but I know that businesses are wanting more diversity in their businesses. They absolutely want that, and women coming to this industry would have amazing opportunities, not just because they want that, but you know they're good workers too. And I think that there's a great space that could be carved out there that they should play a role in.
Thank you. And Jack, do you have other women colleagues working with you side by side doing the mechanics right now?
There's no women colleagues right now. I went through the program at City College with two girls, and as far as I know, they're working in the industry right now.
Excellent. Good to hear. Okay. So now that I've got you, I'm going to stick with you, Jack, a little bit. I'd like to know what you really like about the work you do and what you don't like about being the technician or the mechanic.
I like working on cars. It's very satisfying when I'm able to figure out something that's really hard to diagnose. What I don't like is waiting for parts. Sometimes at the dealership, we get to order parts from Germany, and it takes like 2 weeks to come through. So the car is stuck in your bay for 2 weeks, and then you got to work out of the side or something. But yeah, I think it's industry is very good place to work.
Okay, great. Stephen, give me an idea of what you particularly like to do in your job and what you don't like to do, and perhaps what's the most challenging or satisfying, either way.
I'll touch on both quickly. Like the most satisfying is working with, whether it's a technician or a service writer or even a manager, that it's excited to learn new things. They're open to new ideas, and to maybe look at things from a different point of view. The flip of that, the most challenging, is dealing with people that think they know it all and they're not willing to learn. They're not open to learning. This is a constantly moving industry, and I always enjoy people that are willing to move forward with it.
Okay, great. Brittany, what do you like or not like?
It's very hard to say, there's one thing that I don't like. I'm very, big on automotive in general. So from the teaching to still working on cars, there's not too much to say like, oh, I can pinpoint this is not, not enjoying it. I think one of those things just in general is, you have to enjoy what you're doing. So you have challenging cars, but like Jack said, it's super satisfying figuring out what's going on with it and fixing it. And helping customers as well. If you treat customers right, they become like your extended family, and it's just fun. So there's nothing I could say like I don't like. Everything is just awesome in the field.
Okay. Nikki, how about for you?
I don't think there's anything I can really say that I don't like. I love challenges. So I do have to say that I just retired on Monday.
Is a job opportunity coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm not out of the business entirely. I will have a job change in January. So it's going to be, I'm never going to be out of the automotive industry, I don't think, because I like it that much. Yeah, I can't say that there's anything I dislike. Every day is a challenge, and I think it's an exciting industry, and there's days that I don't like to go to, but but I can't.
Don't we all?
I just, yeah, I get to work with people like Steve. I get to work with great technicians like Jack, and at the end of the day, it's a good industry to work in. It's a perfect industry to work in.
Okay, so as we're coming up to about 10 minutes, so I want to start wrapping up and encourage anybody in the audience here that are listening in to please put anything you have in the chat, and Christina will be monitoring it. We'll be opening it up in just a couple minutes for everybody. I'm interested in any tips that the panelists would like to give to students that are wanting to break into the field in the particular roles that you had. Certainly, let's do it as a couple different roles. To become a mechanic or a technician, let's address that one a little bit, since the different roles we have for all of you, it varies quite a bit, but you can contribute to the concept. So for a technician or a mechanic, are there some specific tips that you would like to pass along to them?
I would think that don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, and always be willing to learn something new.
Okay, more advice for people going into the mechanic end, learning something new, how to break into the new industry?
Be willing to ask questions and continue to learn.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I would say be willing to learn, and be willing to learn from somebody who has more experience. Automotive technology, yes, you do need education and you need constant training, but there are things that you can learn from other technicians, and so don't be afraid to go and ask an experienced technician what they're doing, or even hold a flashlight for them. You will learn even just by watching. So take every opportunity that you can.
And as Stephen, do you have anything to add for that kind of role?
And so, I mean, I used to teach a class. I come in and teach a class at City College, and I used to at the end of it, I do a quick little what makes up a good technician. And I used to tell them, don't be an expense, don't be a pain, and be profitable for the business you work for. You're not, they're not a nonprofit. You have to generate income for the shop.
And tied into that type of work, the education that you need to have as far as breaking in, maybe Nikki can address that as well, or Stephen, any of you. Is it enough to do the City College certificate, associate degree?
That's the beginning to have enough. The other thing that we haven't talked about, it's important to have a good driver's license. Have a driver's license. There's so many people who come in with driver's licenses that the business can't insure. And if you can't drive a car, you're useless to the business. I'm sorry.
Okay, so have at least a certificate, education. What else do we need for this? We also need the driver's license, a great attitude, excellent work ethic, show up 15 minutes early, and a positive attitude, and do the skills right in the class.
Yeah, and there's opportunities also to get a bachelor's degree in automotive technology, where the last 2 years is online, so you can get your work experience and do your bachelor's degree at the same time. So it's an industry where, you come to City College, tuition's cheap, and you can go off to, the last 2 years and get a bachelor's degree without going into any student debt. You're working and you're getting your education at the same time. There's a few schools out there where you can complete the last couple of years online. So it doesn't just stop at bachelor's or the associates. You could do your bachelor's, and it really puts you at an advantage to getting higher positions in the automotive field.
Absolutely.
And certainly I would have to add in, if you want to get into engineering and creating the next level of cars, Teslas, electronics, I'm sure people can go on with the education for the engineering side. Yes.
Mhm.
So nice.
The rockets have to be built with hand tools too.
There we go. And Stephen, in your line of work, can you touch on what you would encourage somebody wanting to work with products and distribution as you have, and training?
Right. I mean, customer service, you have to be likable. It's kind of simple stuff, but also important, like smiling and just being supportive of your customers and understanding their needs as well as their customers' needs. So that would be my biggest thing. Some of us have master's degrees and some of us came straight out of high school, just learning on our own. But it takes a lot of hard work and education to get to a high level in what I do.
One area that we didn't touch on is for those students that are coming through the program, and Brittany, you may have some, or others might want to pop in, talking about wanting to do rebuilding cars and the after the accident, and being able to work in refurbishing cars. Is there opportunity for that aspect as well? Is it growing, or instead of just under the hood?
I would work. Yeah, there's definitely room in all aspects of automotive, from like body work to automotive technician to service advisor. I've been teaching for the last few years, but I still get numerous even phone calls from places I used to work at, people who I used to work with, offering jobs or asking if I know anyone. There's body technician jobs. I mean, any job that's related to automotive has a high demand. So definitely it's not a job industry where, in the next 5 or 10 years, it might get phased out. You can't send these cars overseas to get worked on. The type of work is changing. It'll be more computer based and more electrical diagnosis, but it's requiring very high skilled, technicians. Like Jack said, he's the only one at the dealership who is qualified to work on electric cars. We're going to see a high influx of these cars, and they're going to require, complex problem solving, which, people think that mechanics is just getting your hands dirty. Going into the future, a lot of it's going to be electronic and computer based. So it'll be very different type of work that it's going to take a lot of training and a good skill set.
Okay. Any other comments from the panelists as far as the future, as you see it in your crystal ball, as Brittany is talking about, what the next vision might be, what we should be looking for? And Jack, since you are the only electric one there, we'll start with you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of electrical diagnosis that's coming. That's gonna be problems. I would say that if you could concentrate a lot on electrical, I know most people don't like it, but it's something that's gonna make you a good technician in the future. And especially we're going into hybrid and electric cars, it's gonna be necessary. So almost everybody coming into the field is gonna need that qualifications.
Okay. Stephen, anything you want to
Yeah,
add?
I mean, Jack kind of talked about he's the only guy at that entire dealership that can work on electric cars. And so if he's not there, they can't take those cars in. So that just kind of shows like when you guys get that continuous learning like he does and you become specialized, you're very valuable. I'm trying to say that is you're very valuable, and I'm sure Jack knows that. And his bosses know that. And I'm sure he's compensated accordingly. So, and that's not the only place. That's I've got many, many dealerships where they have someone they have to keep. So
Thank you.
in order to take.
We have some questions, and I want to go ahead and have Christina work with some of our questions for us, if you would please.
Sure. So feel free to put any of your questions in the chat box, but we do have one question. How much computer software skills do you need in this industry? I know we were just talking about that, but if you can possibly elaborate.
There's all levels of computer software skills that you need, from being a service advisor to being a technician. There are different levels. So it depends on what level you're talking about. If you're just a technician, they have to be able to use different pieces of equipment to read waveforms and things like that. I mean, is that what they're talking about? I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Well, it's
Whether
good
they
to
want to
cover
use
it all.
scopes and scan tools and that kind of thing. There's tons of that every day, all day long. But they have to be able to read schematics and be able to figure out where the certain points are on a wiring diagram that they need to fix something or whatever. But Jack would know more about that than I, because I don't do that. But I mean, you know, they have to be able to use scopes and all that kind of stuff. So Jack, you should answer that question. I just buy the stuff.
Yeah, well,
Thousands of dollars.
I guess, yeah, like Nikki says, you got to be able to read a wiring diagram. Usually it's on the computer. I know back in the day, it used to be on paper, which was much harder to find something in the wiring diagram. Now it's all, you could just type in something and it will tell you exactly where the part is. But other than that, yeah, it's just like using diagnostic machines and like oscilloscopes and stuff like that. You should be able to use those stuff.
Okay.
Most dealerships and even a lot of the independents, I think Nikki uses it, they use electronic multi-point inspections. So you get like an iPad or some version of that where you're walking around a car actually using it to do your inspections. So and taking pictures and things like that. So you do have to have some technical savvy, but they train you on all the computer software as long as you have the tech savvy part. I guess that's the point.
Any other questions, Christina?
Yeah, so thank you for those responses. We have one other question, and I know we touched on electric cars. What are some great programs that teach or have certificates geared towards working on electric cars, if you happen to know of any programs or certificates?
So Santa Barbara City College actually has a class for hybrids and electric vehicles. And we're actually working on expanding the curriculum to a full like 16-week semester. And it'll end up becoming a class that's required to take for the automotive technician certificate and degree. So we're expanding on the electric cars because it's something that's so mainstream. And we're going to see a lot here in the next 5, 10, 15 years. There is also Weber State University, which is one of those schools that offers a bachelor's degree, or after you complete your associate's degree, they have a lot of training as well on electric cars. Even if you were to go to on YouTube, Weber State University has a lot of videos on those electric cars. ASC, Automotive Service Excellence. Once you do training for those electric cars, they actually offer a certificate to get certified in the hybrid and electric cars. Also, like Jack, you can get certified through a manufacturer after doing their specific training.
Great. I think that's a wonderful way. We started with Brittany kicking off about our state-of-the-art program here at City College, and then we're wrapping up with a state-of-the-art program that continues to expand. I'm going to ask my last question for you all. First, I'm going to say, though, we did record this. We had a question about where we're going to post it. It'll be on the Career Center Library. We'll send a note out to everybody, assuming the technology worked okay for us tonight. But my last question for you is either what are you driving today, or what was the best car, or it could be both. What is that car that you're either driving, truck, motorcycle, Ducati, whatever, that was your favorite, or what you're doing now? And let's wrap it up with that. Brittany, you're on.
I drive a 2009 Volkswagen Jetta. It's diesel and it has 200 and almost 50,000 miles on it. It is my favorite car in the world because it is just fun and it's economical. And yeah, that is my car right now. In the future, I plan to get an electric car. I did have an opportunity to drive an electric car for a while, and it was a blast. That's the only car that I enjoyed more than what I'm currently driving. So down the road.
What fun. Okay, Jack, how about you? What's your favorite car, or what you're driving now?
Right now I have 3 cars. I have a 2011 VW GTI, and then a 2012 Mazda Speed 3, and 2001 Ram 2500 diesel.
Okay, thank you. And how about Stephen?
Oh, and I'm also working on my 72 Ford F-250.
Oh, now that sounds like fun. Okay, Stephen.
So I'm simple. I've got a family, and my favorite car is my 2010 Nissan Maxima. It's like a 4-door sedan, but also performance, and it fits both sides of my life. So
Love it. Nikki.
You sound like the old lady here. I drive a 1998 XJ8 Jaguar and I also drive a 2007 E550 Mercedes.
Well, I think that is a very happy note. And with that, I think I want to say thank you to our panelists here. We're